Hello, and thank you for watching Legal English Clips. Today we are going to deal with the topic of persons in court. Some of you may find it strange that we use the term persons, having in mind that the usual plural of person is people. This alternative plural, persons, is often used to treat the people as items or objects rather than as individuals. At the beginning of a TV show, you might come across a notice saying not recommended for persons under the age of 12, meaning that the individual identity of those watching is not relevant. So, persons in court really means jobs in court, while people in court would suggest actual individuals being employed by a particular court. Now, let's introduce a number of professions associated with typical courtroom. First of all, we have a judge. Who is a judge? A judge is a public official who has the authority to hear and decide cases. Then there is a claimant. Who is a claimant? A claimant is a person who initiates a lawsuit. Essentially, that's the person who has filed a claim against the defendant. In US jurisdictions, this person is also known as a plaintiff. Then who is a defendant? A defendant or a respondent is someone who is sued in a civil lawsuit. Should there be an appeal, the person who has filed an appeal would be an appellant, or in US jurisdictions, a petitioner. People called to appear in a court in order to share their knowledge related to the dispute in question are known as witnesses. There are eyewitnesses and expert witnesses. An expert witness is someone who has a specialized knowledge relevant to the matter of interest, and you can even say someone whose knowledge helps to make sense of other presented evidence. You have all probably heard of an advocate. Who is it? An advocate is a person who represents litigants or parties in a court. Advocate is a general term in civil jurisdictions as well as in Scotland or on the Isle of Man. In Anglo-American jurisdictions, we usually say lawyer, attorney, solicitor, or barrister, while advocate would be a general expression for someone who publicly supports or recommends a particular cause or policy, like she's an advocate of free speech, for example. Then there is a court clerk. A clerk, or a clerk to the court, is an employee of a court, predominantly dealing with administrative tasks like taking records, filing documents, or issuing processes. Lastly, a bailiff. Generally, when we say bailiff, we think about a person whose primary duty is keeping order in a courtroom. We have seen a lot of bailiffs in American films as those uniformed individuals who take the verdict from the jury to the judge. However, in some UK jurisdictions, a bailiff is also the professional who deals with judgment enforcement. That is, who collects claims against enforcement debtors. So, these are the major careers or the major professions in a courtroom. Now, let's try to connect all the professions that we have just mentioned with a given definition. Look at the first definition. A person who initiates a civil lawsuit. Who's that? Yes, that's a claimant. A person who has specialized knowledge of a particular subject who is called to testify in court. Okay, that's an expert witness. A person who appeals decisions. This would be an appellant. A person who represents parties in court. Exactly, that's an advocate. An employee who takes records or who files documents in a court. True, that's a clerk. Officer of the court whose duties include keeping order and assisting the judge. Good, a bailiff. The person who is sued in a civil lawsuit. Well done. That's the defendant. And then, who is the person that actually decides cases? Or the most important person in the courtroom? A judge. Great. This wasn't so hard, was it? At the end, allow me to introduce one more person in court. Now, this person doesn't really exist. It's a hypothetical person, a standard of someone who uses good judgment or common sense in handling practical matters. Such a person's actions are the guide in determining whether an individual's actions were reasonable. This hypothetical person is known as a reasonably prudent person. Thank you very much for watching Legal English Clubs. I hope you have enjoyed it. Feel free to check out our additional materials by clicking on the link below. Bye!